time of year when the weather starts warming up and we're thinking about what we can have growing outside in our vegetable garden. We want to share some tips with you to be able to help you to be successful with your gardening adventures in your backyard. One of the things that people ask about all the time is what plants do you start from seed and when do you start from transplants? A lot of our wonderful vegetables can be started from seed. Some of the greatest ones to use are things like bright lights, Swiss chard, any of your leafy greens like spinach and loose leaf lettuces, as well as carrots are great ones to start from seeds. There are so many vegetables that can be started from seed. A variety of peas and beans, as well as your loose leaf lettuces, chard, and carrots. The seed packet is a great source of information for the beginning gardener. If you look on the back of the packet, it gives you important information like how long to wait till the seed should be up, coming up from the ground, how far the finished spacing should be, how long until they're ready to be harvested, and how far apart that they need to be in the row. A good rule of thumb is, depending on the size of seed, it will tell you how deep you need to plant your seed. For seeds like beans, they're fairly large, so about 1.5 to 2 times the diameter of the seed is what we would need to plant this bean seed. As we get ready to put it into a shallow furrow, we'll want to space these maybe 3 or 4 inches apart. They can always be thinned as they come up, and then we will just lightly cover them and pat them in. Now our information on the seed packet will tell us when we could expect for those seeds to start germinating and start to come up from the soil. Here in the garden center, you see transplants for almost all vegetables. There are many vegetables that start very well from transplant, and the benefit is that you have a larger plant sooner to be able to set out into the garden. Some of the best vegetables that really start well from transplants are things like peppers, tomatoes, but you also can find things that can be planted from seed or transplant. Things like a loose leaf lettuce is a good example of what you may find, or even squash and cucumbers in your garden center. When choosing a transplant from your garden, there's a lot of different options for you. When you go to the garden center, you may find transplants that are in plastic containers like this one. Sometimes they're in 12 packs or 6 packs, and you're actually going to be able to plant directly from those containers. One advantage is that there's some transplants that you can get now that are actually in a plantable pot. Here's an example of one in a plantable peat pot that you can put directly into the ground. Whatever you're getting, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is to select a transplant that is healthy, vigorous growth, that's green, that looks healthy when you look at it, and something that's ready to be put out into your garden. When you're ready to plant your transplant, you want to be sure that your soil is well prepared and is full of organic matter. Most of our vegetables really like to have a lot of nutrition. This is a transplant that we're going to be using in a direct peat pot. I like to pull a little bit of it off the top so that you don't get the water wicking, but the roots will actually grow right through it. You can see here where some of them are starting to grow. I'll break up the pot slightly and then put it in the planting hole. For most transplants, you want to be sure to plant them very deeply, and the reason is that will encourage root growth further up the plant and to make sure that the plant is off to a good start. If the roots are happy, your transplants are going to do great, and soon you're going to have vegetables in your kitchen.